Okay, good morning, it's Monday morning. I'm going to show you something because I've been thinking about the generator inputs and stuff, and I'm going to show you a special feature of the SunSynk inverter. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this feature, but it's something quite nice. Now look, let me go around the other side, and then I can do it backwards to make it easier for filming. Okay, usual screen. I've connected it into an AC grid supply, CT curl grid. It could be a generator, it could be anything. And this is really cool, this feature. Okay, so we go on to grid setup, and you'll see here, grid peak shaving. I've set this to 1000 watts. So this is set to a kilowatt, okay? And here, I've set the system mode, and I put them all to 100. Use timer, all to 100. Okay, and let me escape. Escape. Okay, so we've got no load at the moment, and we can let's look at the flow chart. There's 240 volts here. The battery's at 96%. There's not a lot going on. So let's introduce a load. So I've got some load here. So I put a load on, and let's see here. I put 334 watts on here. And in fact, it just takes a slight while for things to react. And then you'll see from the, you hit the inverter's clicked in. Okay, and this is really cool. So you can see here, so 0.47 is coming from the grid. The battery is showing a minus, so the battery is actually receiving a slight charge, and the grid here is coming up. So let's increase the load. Increase the load a bit, and you'll see now the grid is now supplying 0.9, so it's almost 1 kilowatt. That's what I actually set it to, as a kilowatt. So what happens, let's increase the load even higher. Bump. Load to increase even higher. You see the grid is still only supplying a kilowatt. Now the delta is coming off the battery, so you see the battery and the grid is working together. So you can see both the AC load is here. And then let's take the load up even higher. Okay, so now, okay, so you can see the load is 1.6 kilowatt, okay, and the battery, the grid is still remaining 0.97, but now the battery is supplying the delta. And then you can see, let's look at the flow here. You see so much coming from the battery and so much coming from the grid. It's a really nice feature. I go back onto setting, you go on grid, you see it's capped here at 1 kilowatt. So this is using a CT coil on the grid. You can do the same thing on a generator input, but it's very useful. It's a very useful feature. It's really nice. And watch what happens is, let's reduce the load back down again. Bump. Drop the load right down. Drop the load really down. Can't see very well, it's hitting my, and you see what's happening here. It's now putting the power back into the battery. So it's feeding the power back into the battery. So this is actually quite a nice feature. Whereas if you didn't have enough supply power to supply the incomplete load, then you can limit the load. So I was thinking, if you've got a decent generator, as long as the generator it's got a good flywheel on it, then that may well work with an underpowered generator with our system. So I've been thinking about it. And you've also got the same thing on the generator input. So if you go on here and we go on to auxiliary, I'm doing it backwards, and if I choose here gen input, and we've got the peak power shaving feature as well here, and the peak power shaving feature could be anything. You can, you might have a 3 kilowatt, 4 kilowatt, whatever. You say it will work. You really want it to be a couple of kilowatts. Less than that's a bit iffy, but it's a very nice feature, especially if you've got limited supply power. So if you've got a limited amount of power that you can supply, but you want more power, then use this feature. It's a great feature. Thanks for watching.